Today we see one of the saddest calls that officers get called to, which is somebody who wants them to shoot him. Hi everyone, welcome to today's research-informed badge cam lesson here at Active Self-Protection. I'm your host, John Carrillo.
I'm your co-host, Mike Willoward. Today's video comes to us from Sacramento, California.
The Filster Enigma is a revolutionary holster chassis system that completely divorces your holster and gun from your clothing, giving you unprecedented concealment whether in sweatpants or formal wear. It attaches to your AIWB holster via the wing and allows incredible flexibility for your concealed carry. Get yours at the link below. Officers are arriving on scene because 911 has received a couple of calls of a man wandering in the street with a gun in his hand and waving it around and threatening people with it. When the officers arrive, he's not going to have a gun in his hand, but they do have the description of him. This guy matches it. We have badge cam audio as well as a cell phone video here from a bystander. Let's listen in.
32, I got eyes on the subject. Hey bud, take your hand out of your pocket, please. Hand out of your pocket now. Take your hand out of your pocket. 32, he's not compliant. Take your hand out of your pocket right now. Get your hand out of your pocket, get on the sidewalk. 32, I'm gonna have one at gunpoint. He's not compliant, he's got his hand kind of in his pocket. I'm not sure if it's a mental health thing. He did talk to a couple of workers over here who said they did not see him walking with a gun. Get your hand up out of your pocket. Sidewalk! Go on the sidewalk! Please just go on the sidewalk. We don't want to do any of that. Relax. I don't want to do that. Please, do not. Do not.
Stop. Stop. Stop.
Back up,
Back up. Stop.
Come back around this way. Do not stop. Do not. He's got it. Yeah, that's a gun. Do not reach for that gun. Do not reach for that gun. Come back over this way. Leave back up. Do not reach for that gun. Do not. Put your hands in the air. Come back around. Get cover over here. Get cover. Do not. Do not.
Don't reach for it.
The gun is sticking out. He's got his hand rested on
reach
it.
for it.
Do not reach for that gun.
We can help.
Please. Do not. Just do not.
We can
Keep
help
moving. Keep
you.
moving. Keep moving.
We can help
Keep moving.
you.
We're good. Hey, just put your hands in the air. We will help you. Put your hands in the air.
Put your hands
Okay.
up.
Stop and turn around. Turn and face away from me. Just turn and face away. Turn and face away.
Non-compliant. We can help you.
Okay? Do
Let
not
us
reach for
help
that gun.
you.
We gotta back up more distance. We would like to help you. Do not reach for that gun. Do not reach for that gun.
For it.
Do not reach for that gun. Do not. Do not. Do not reach for that gun. We're gonna go back around. We're gonna come back around. Do not reach for that gun.
We can help
32.
you.
He's got his hand on the
Take your
gun.
hand off
That's
the
a gun
gun.
in the pocket.
Take your hand off the gun.
We know we got backed up problem. Come up here behind that.
Let us help you. Come on, let us help you.
Keep going. Keep going.
Let
Follow the way
us
to the
help
tree.
you.
Follow the way to the tree. Do not reach for that gun.
Don't reach for it.
Get your hand off the gun. Just get your hand
Take
off.
your hand off the gun.
Keep going. No, I cannot see. I cannot see. I cannot see. He's got the gun. Get back. Get back.
Get
Get back. Shots fired. Shots fired. Let's go. Let's go.
I got it.
What the fuck?
No, I cannot see. I cannot see. I cannot see. He's got the gun. Get back. Get back.
Sir.
Get back. Shots fired. Shots fired.
Shots fired. Shots
Let's go.
fired.
Let's go.
I got it.
The man was hit by gunfire, and you see here officers are rendering aid to him. He actually lived through this. The officer's rendering of aid was effective. They did get him to the hospital in time. If you go read the news stories I've linked in the description, he is indeed facing a plethora of charges, and I do know how many a plethora is. And thankfully, no one else was harmed in this one.
So, you know, we're going to talk a bunch about de-escalation skills in this one, but you can't de-escalate somebody. They can choose, but if they push the buttons, then they're going to end up getting the response that they look for. So there's a kind of a line to walk here. Let's talk about it in lessons.
You know, Mike, some good, a lot of not so good here. Some definite room for improvement. I'm going to start with some good. I get it, officer. Hey, man, our call is somebody with a gun who is waving it around and threatening people. And so the officer staying behind his patrol cruiser door and then using the patrol cruiser, backing up a little bit, maintaining some space to allow it to breathe and give him that idea again that distance buys you time and time buys you options. I think that, to begin here, was a very good decision.
Yeah, always in the back of my mind when I see a scene like this is we've seen it more than once. We saw it recently on the channel, is, you back up, you leave the door open, back up, and then all of a sudden the suspect's at your door and he takes your police car on a pursuit, which you don't want. But barring that, I think obviously this officer's intent from the beginning was to let this breathe, give the guy space, not rush it, not compress his time or distance. It was the suspect who ended up doing that. But there's just a whole bunch here to talk about, John, the dynamic between him and his partner. There's just a lot to discuss, and I'm looking forward to getting into it.
Yeah, and I want to start here. You can see, in the closed captioning of the video that he tells the guy to relax. So he tells him, hey, get on the sidewalk, do this thing. The guy has already said and requested the officers to shoot him. So we know this guy is suicidal. He's showing suicidal ideation. He already is. So now we are in crisis communication. We have a man who doesn't look to be high emotion to me. I can't tell what his thinking is, if it's clear or contaminated, but he's non-compliant and is giving me verbal indication of suicidal ideology. So we're in crisis communication here. And I'm going to tell you this. You look here and he says to the guy, relax. This is the equivalent of telling your wife to calm down. And ask any man who's ever tried that in his life how that's worked for him. And it works the same in any other incident. It has never worked ever. So telling somebody to relax, telling them to calm down, telling them to chill out is never going to work. Instead, you have to enter into their world and start to dialogue with them and find out why they're struggling so much. And yes, do our officers need more than a YouTube video to learn realistic de-escalation skills? Yes, I'm actually certified as an instructor in realistic de-escalation skills for officers and for private citizens. We're not going to get into all of that, but please, officers, hear me. Take your de-escalation training seriously because you're going to need it on that day.
Yeah, I think the words relax and the term calm down, you could practice it sometime. Wait till you're in a really bad mood and have your friend or your significant other, you say relax to you in every tone of voice they can come up with, from annoyed to angry to sweet to soft. Relax and calm down. I've never relaxed or calmed anyone down. So just keep that in mind. I think an important thing to try to do if you find yourself in a situation like this, as you begin your attempt to de-escalate, to give the guy an off-ramp or a way to calm him down a little bit without saying calm down, obviously, is to try to buy a little bit of time. Try to slow things down, because this thing is moving very, very quickly. And I feel like this guy was, this officer was a little, understandably, the guy's got a gun and this is a dangerous situation, but he's a little bit amped up. And I feel like just trying to slow everyone's roll a little bit might have been advantageous. And I feel like there was a couple of opportunities that they missed where they could have stepped out from behind the badge a little bit more, a little bit better. I'm not saying they didn't try, but I'm saying that I saw some opportunities to maybe get this guy to slow his roll a little bit, communicate with him, start using first names or whatever, and those just didn't seem to be taken advantage of, in my opinion.
Well, and there's something going on here, some kind of dynamic between officer number one here and the second officer who is with him. And I don't know what that dynamic is. If he just doesn't trust her, if she's a trainee, he is definitely trying to put her behind him and tell her what to do every step of the way. If I was a betting man, I would guess she is a trainee or maybe just brand new out of training. And so he is trying to do all the thinking and all the work here because it just feels to me like he doesn't trust her. Now, with that in mind, okay, if you don't, now you got to just deal with this as a solo practitioner, recognizing that she's going to come along for the way. But if you do trust your partner here, if you can work together with your partner to trust them, then this is the time, like Mike said, to step around the badge. And that means you've already said, hey, wait a minute, you're going to be lethal cover. I am going to be non-lethal or less lethal, or I am going to be the negotiator. I'll handle communications. You be lethal cover and let them deal with their piece. And you deal with yours. Because if he could have put the gun away here and stepped around the badge, tell me what's happening today, man. Because the guy doesn't have a gun in his hand right now that might have provided an off-ramp. I don't know that it would have. In fact, I'm kind of thinking it maybe wouldn't have. But it's possible it would have. And that would have been a path to pursue, to step around the badge. My name is John. What's going on today? What happened that made things so frustrating for you? Tell me what you're feeling right now. Something like that to make a connection with the guy and get him talking, to kind of release that valve of the emotional pent-up anger and frustration and sorrow might have made a difference here, Mike.
Yeah, I did hear the guy say at one point during their interaction, my wife left me, I'm having a bad week, and he had a series of complaints, probably legitimate complaints, of things were going wrong in his life. And I think it's important to try to grab onto one of those. This is like a really compressed version of detective suspect in the interview room, you know, where as the detective, I'm trying to build a rapport with this guy. Well, now I have to do that very, very quickly. Can take anything that I can grab, anything he's saying that I can latch onto and make some kind of connection. I'm going to try to do that. Now, I understand this is an emergency communication situation, but I still feel like there was opportunities that were missed. Another thing I'll mention, John, I think having the gun, at least if you're not going to put it away, have it down at low ready. There's no reason in this moment to have it up where it's at, especially if your partner has a beat on the guy. The situation between this guy and the female officer is strange to me. I think maybe trainee FTO situation, but she came in her own car, so I don't think she's still a trainee. So who knows what was going on, but I feel like he was almost distracted to a point of making it a problem with where she was, what she was doing, where, you know, what the backdrop was. Like, you need to be able to trust your partner enough that you know what you're doing, your partner knows what he or she is doing, and you don't have to do this constant sort of filling her in on what to do next. I think that was a detriment to him in the moment and his ability to respond to this in real time.
Yeah, and I think if you can ahead of time deal with what roles is each person going to do. I'm on communication. I'll talk to the perp here. You be on lethal. Okay, fine. Now we've got that figured out. If you can't do that, you can't do that. And you're right, Mike. She showed up in her own car, so I doubt she's a trainee. I don't know what it is, if that's his girlfriend or wife or, man, I don't know. But it just feels like he's protecting her the whole time. And that's a crappy situation to be in. And I'm going to be honest with you, Mike, she actually handles herself better in this entirety than he does, because she doesn't get in the way of the communication. She's the one who decides, nope, this ends right now, gets a hit on the guy. And so I think actually at the end of things, she actually does pretty well in this particular case. So, you know, you could see her actually getting frustrated with him. Get your hand off me, so that she can, you know, kind of go about and do her work there. And he's the one who's kind of freaking out here. I also want to say here, I will say to her, she is doing here, she's got her finger on the trigger. And this, it might look like she is thinking that she's going to shoot him right now. I highly doubt it, okay? From a firearms instructor's perspective, this is what is known as a trigger check. So she is here making sure I still have a trigger. And this has nothing to do with her being a rookie. I see experienced people do this all the time when we work from a low ready on the range, or where we're doing force on force training and we're about to go into the house. People check their triggers subconsciously and unconsciously all the time. The way to combat this, though, is to be 100% sure that your trigger finger is home and high and in home base. If you follow that rule, high and in home base, your trigger finger is either at home or at work, you can prevent doing this. She does it a couple times. It's pretty common, Mike.
Yeah, just to go back for a moment, John, to what you were saying a moment ago about this sort of dynamic between these two officers. Yeah, I don't know what's going on either, but it's one thing to want to remain online with your partner, you know, in a deadly force situation. I understand that you don't want to get way behind them or have them get way behind you, because then, you know, you're offline. But it could come to a point where it's too much with the onlining and the shoulder grabbing and whatever. And it seemed to me, yeah, at one point, like, she was like, hey, man, I'm good. Like, get off me, kind of almost is the vibe that I got from her. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's something they train or whatever. I have no idea, but it was definitely bizarre to look at. As far as the trigger finger goes, look, it's the most human thing in the world in a situation like this to want to put your finger on the trigger, to want to get that warm fuzzy. Yeah, my trigger's still there. Yeah, the little clicky button in the middle of the trigger of my Glock still works. It's going to clear. It's going to be fine. If I need to use my gun, it'll go off. but it's just not a great idea. And again, John said maybe she's doing it subconsciously. I've certainly seen experienced shooters on the range when you're working in a situation like this where I've seen them do it. I prefer that they didn't. I think hiding at home, as John said, is the way to go, and that's the way to make sure you don't accidentally shoot someone, because that would be a really bad day.
This is another reminder as well to use the low ready position, because again, if your gun is up and on that guy and you're trigger checking, there's a chance because of adrenalized state that you could actually press through that wall and end up cooking a round off when you didn't really mean to, and that can be life altering for everyone. So using that low ready position can keep that from being a risk of death or great bodily harm. Now, they're going to keep going here, and I do like that they're maintaining a little bit of distance from this guy and giving him a little bit of space here. That said, you know, they might have wanted to actually compress the space when he doesn't have a gun in his hand. If you start recognizing, okay, wait a minute, you have lethal cover, I'm going to be non-lethal, so I'm going to put my gun away, so then that way we can get after it and maybe tackle this guy would be good. Once he starts putting a gun in his hand, of course, all bets are off on this. Now, I want to talk about timing from here a little bit. There's a couple of timing issues. The first one here is it's our female officer who is to the right who shoots the first shot. She is the first one who shoots, and this is a half second before the shot breaks. This is her visual indication to go. We saw already in the cell phone video that this man now has a gun in his hand. Hard for us to see because of lighting here, but he has a gun in his hand, walking officers down. They certainly can't tell that that is an imitation firearm. And so is she justified to shoot this guy? Absolutely she is. And she's making an independent decision that, you know what, my life and these other officers' lives is at risk. I have to act. And when we ask, wait a minute, was there objective, reasonable evidence of a deadly threat in her vicinity that caused her to fire? The answer here is yes, so I think she made a good decision.
Yeah, again, we talk about you having an independent observation and making an independent decision about whether or not to use deadly force. That's what we're looking at here. That decision-making process is happening in real time. And yeah, I think, as John said, had she shot here, she would have been fine. I think she and the other officers, all three of them, are looking to hopefully preserve life, although they see this deteriorating very quickly and see the way this is probably going to end up going. But that, we had it recently on a video out of Los Angeles with the, I think it was the neon bikini bandit guy. That was kind of a funnier video. No one got too terribly badly hurt in that one. But there was a point at which, you know, other officers are showing up and having to make independent decisions, and they did that really, really well by just saying, okay, what am I looking at? What am I seeing independently, and not going off of, you know, someone else is making a decision to fire or whatever. You always have to make sure that what you're doing is in and of itself, in a bubble, okay to do, within policy and legal, and I think that's what you did here.
Well, and I really want to say that our female officer who does the shooting here, you notice she's got a great grip on the pistol. She got a hit. That hit did knock him down. It was a fight-ending hit. It was a fight-stopping hit. So from a marksmanship perspective, from a technical marksmanship capabilities perspective, she was 100% up to the task that day, and she got it done. Because if you notice here, she is going to, you can see the gun recoil here. She's the one who shoots and puts a couple in him, puts him down, and our male officer shoots as well. And I also want to notice on his part here, he has a malfunction in his firearm that he never notices. He never sees it. He never clears it. He just puts the gun away in the holster. And this is an experience problem, in my opinion. It tells me he doesn't get a lot of time behind the gun. Now, listen, you can certainly get tunnel vision and get auditory exclusion and even tactile exclusion under the threat, you know, under an adrenalized state like this. But if you've shot enough, when you shoot a whole bunch, then what happens is you can feel it when your gun doesn't recoil like you're used to and like you expect it to, and therefore something's wrong and you got to do something about it. And it takes a while to build that kind of understanding and kind of intuitive fit with a firearm. But Mike, this is the kind of thing that I think we should expect our officers to be familiar enough with their firearms to kind of feel intuitively.
You have to have had enough time. You know, dry fire is important and critical, and I want all my officers and deputies dry firing every chance they get. I want them practicing their draw and their grip and all that stuff. But live fire is substantially more important for law enforcement officers because they're more likely to have to use their gun in the line of duty to preserve life. And I think if you're out of the academy and you're out on your own off to FTO, This should be a thing that I understand for a split second after the gun hangs up or it fails to cycle or whatever. There can be a half a second where it takes your brain a moment to realize, okay, this isn't right. The gun doesn't feel right. It feels out of balance or whatever. But to go as long as he did and not realize that tells me that I'm afraid he's not had enough time behind the trigger of that gun with live fire, and that's unfortunate. If this is you and you know it, get out there and fix it. Take the time off duty to go out and shoot on your own and get enough time behind the gun to understand or be able to know when there's a problem like this, because he clearly didn't know.
Yep. You know what we used to say on the range? If you're crappy and you know it, fix your stuff. Now, I'm not saying he's crappy. I'm just saying we used to sing that all the time. All right, our bystander cell phone video. Here is a clue, friends. When you see, I love that we have this video. I like that we have it because it shows us the guy pulling a gun so we can see it definitively. Yes, he had a gun in his hand. Yes, these officers were justified. But you see 3 cops pointing a gun at a dude. Do not stand and take cell phone video of it. You need to get out of this area of operation post haste. You need to not look back. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. You need to be gone out of there. Mike, I see people doing this all the time. Drives me nuts.
Yeah, people's inability to comprehend when it's time to skedaddle, when it's time to vamoose, when it's time to beat feet, big tracks, is astonishing. And it's something I saw all the time in law enforcement. I joked, halfway joked recently about, you know, I'm perimeter on a big op, and there are SWAT teams going in when they got Bearcats and MRAPs, and you know everyone's all geared up and everything, and holding long guns, and you know the 65-year-old lady with her Shih Tzu wants to know what's going on, so she's, oh, can I walk my dog through here? Do you mind, officer? You know, my response would be like, yeah, knock yourself out if you want to. It's not a good idea. I can't stop you. I think seeing this sort of thing, if you see police officers yelling, it's time to unass the area. It's time to get the heck out of Dodge. If you see them with their guns out, it's most definitely time to go. Like, go in the opposite direction and get the heck out of Dodge as quickly as possible, because you just have no idea how this is going to turn out. Right now, their guns aren't pointed at you. If this guy makes a hard, starts running to the left and pointing a gun at him, guess who's in the line of fire? You are. Bad idea.
It changes so fast. And thankfully, this witness on the cell phone, I think, eventually realizes, you know what? It is time for a little gas pedal, and they get the heck out of there, and that is a very good thing. But that's just dangerous on every level. Now, I want to note here, this is our motor officer. A little thing to notice is that this spot where I'm going to stop it next is where our officer first fires, where our female officer fires her firearm first. The male officer to her left fires very soon thereafter. And I know some people are going to say, well, wait a minute, this officer had contagious fire. Is that he fired because they did, because he can't see that? It's actually not possible, because what I'm going to show you here in just a second, and I want to preface this by saying, listen, there are certain things we understand about how long it takes the human body and the human psyche to respond. How long does it take to receive a stimulus? How long does that stimulus take to then be understood inside the human brain? And then how long does it take to formulate a response, encode that response, and then send that coding to the muscles to make things happen? Okay, your basic human reaction time to a simple stimulus is about a quarter second. A complex stimulus, a non-sterile environment, a non-AB, is more like a half second. And so when we say, for instance, this is why when we stopped earlier and we showed the officer and said, hey, wait a minute, this was a half second before she fired. That's because that's when her decision to fire was made, that she then said, oh, there's the stimulus, I gotta go, encodes the action, and her trigger finger presses the trigger. That takes 0.56 plus or minus 0.08 seconds, according to the very best research that we have on human performance in complex environments. This officer, on the other hand, his shot breaks after hers 0.12 seconds later. It's 0.12 seconds from when her shot breaks to when his shot breaks. So there is no way. You saw that movement there of the frames. That's how long the difference is. There is no way that he could have responded to hers, which means, Mike, that he made an independent decision to fire. Now, that said, I don't love the fact that it sure looks to me like he's way under his visual line, and so his chances of getting a hit here aren't great.
Couple things, a couple examples I'll give to what John was just talking about. The first one is being a firearms instructor, or just being at a range with turning targets, or with an auditory beep that is the go signal for the people who are shooting to start shooting. And you'll notice that there is, if you're observing it and you're not the one doing the shooting, you'll notice there is what seems like a painfully long amount of time in between the target turning or the go signal or the beep or whatever, and the person getting their gun out and up on target. And if you're the one doing the shooting, it doesn't seem like that much of a time. If you're the one observing, it does. When I started editing the Active Self-Protection video podcast, I could see myself on screen and I would hear the guest say something funny. And I would think, man, it took me a long time to laugh or to smile at what they just said. And I'm realizing, no, it takes my brain that half a second to get the information in, to process it and go, huh, and laugh or smile or whatever it is. This is not unlike that. Now, someone might see this and go, well, he couldn't have seen the gun. That's actually possible. I'm not sure if he saw the gun or not. But the idea of this being contagious fire, I think John has debunked that pretty well.
Yeah, I think it's just not possible in this particular case. I'm not sure that anybody accused him of that. I just wanted to do that as a piece of education. This is how we determine these things. We can see how long there is between stuff, and that's one of the factors that we get into mind. Finally, of course, this guy goes down. The officers do a really good job then of getting the gun away from him and then starting medical care. And officers, this is one of the reasons I just strongly recommend keep your emergency first aid kit on your person. You know, that emergency first aid kit can let you get started while one of your partners is getting this guy into custody and while the other one is running back to a cruiser to get the rest of the kit, to get the big monster kit so that you can, really get after this guy before the fire department shows up. And they did a great job of getting this guy into custody and then saving his life with good emergency medical skills. So have the skills to use the equipment. That's really important. Of course, we have kits through Mountain Man Medical. By all means, go pick one up. There are links in the description. Anything we would make from it goes to charity. So by all means, if you want to help charity and get good stuff and not pay any more money, do that. The skills are more important than the equipment, but the equipment is important in these particular cases. And I just applaud these officers for that. So I really do think, though, Mike, our discussion here about de-escalation skills and knowing what they are and knowing how to do them well and also trusting your partner are really where our lessons are here.
Yeah, I'm going to reiterate that probably the most objectionable thing about this was that all that back and forth between the two officers. If you're out there watching this, I apologize for being harsh or critical, but you got to get that fixed. If this is something that is an issue with you and a fellow officer or deputy, or if you're watching this in training and you know that, you got to get this fixed now before this happens in real life. As it turns out, they made good decisions. I think they missed some opportunities, but at the end of the day, they do what they had to do, and unfortunately having to shoot this guy and covering their ass.